When I was removed from my mom's home, it was due to my mom's drug addiction. I don't remember anything before I was 10. I grew up in North Philly. During that time, my mom was on drugs, and I raised 5 of my 7 siblings. One day, I came home from school, and my mom wasn't home. Her friend was there. She didn't tell us what was going on. She just said, my brother go one place, I go another place, and then my other brother go to a different place. My mom went into rehab, and we all ended up with people that she trusted.
My mom pretty much abandoned us. She left and didn't come back. Well, it all started when I was removed from my home at the age of 4. My mother ran out on us. It was me, my 3 older sisters, and my younger brother. She ran out and never came back, and it was reported, and then we were all separated. This is where I used to live at growing up, and fortunately the house isn't here anymore. For me, this is where it all started. One day we're all in the house and my mom decides to leave. Didn't say anything to anyone. She just left. And I guess hours later, we all were in the back of police cars.
I can't even remember how long we were with this lady, but it felt like forever. And at the time, I think my sister was about 3. She was really small. And for me, I felt like a stepchild. I felt like Cinderella when I was in her house because all I did was clean. So my whole childhood is kind of like a blur, and it's just like these snapshots that I remember in bits and pieces.
There was no relationship between me and my brothers and sisters when we got separated. We all basically parted ways, and we've never seen each other again until my biological mom passed away.
My name is Ameera Sullivan. I'm 25 years old. I'm a life skills coach here at Net Community Care for IOC.
My name is Emmanuel Santiago. I'm 23 years old, and I'm a youth mentor for Net Community Care, improving outcomes for children.
I'm a life skills coach at the Northeast Treatment Center, and I service children in foster care. When I went into foster care, I stopped all contact with my family. I didn't see my grandfather at all. I didn't see any of my dad's family, even though I never really saw them anyway. But when I was in foster care, it was like I was confined to this house, this block, her home. That was my life until my mom got out of rehab. And once she got out, I never went back to that house. I never went back to that block. I stopped speaking to the lady, and I just forgot that I was there. I didn't want to think about it. I really have no memories of my dad. All of my memories are bad. My dad got out of jail, and he tried to get back in my life, but I wasn't ready. And I endured so much pain in my life, and I feel like I wouldn't have to if he was there to take care of me. If my dad's family would have stepped up and took care of me, because they knew my mom was sick. They knew she had an addiction, and no one reached out to help me. Nobody took me in. I have a very large family. Nobody took me in, so I had to go in foster care. So I have a lot of resentment towards them. But back to my aunt, she wanted me to forgive my dad, and I never did. And I finally forgave him, and then he died. So it was kind of like, that weight was lifted off my shoulder, but I still have no memories.
My life with my foster mother was a really bumpy ride. I lived with her for 14 years. I didn't do much, I didn't get out much. Pretty much my home away from the house was school. The only time I really had a sense of freedom was when I was in school, because I knew that when I went back home, I had to deal with people demanding me, staying in my room most of the time. I was never allowed out of my room. I pretty much haven't had the chance to experience a childhood. I would think about her all the time. I would always imagine her coming back. I would always have dreams that seemed so real, but when I woke up, it was reality. And it hurt me a lot. My father was never a part of my life, and the whole time was living on top of this building. Never wanted anything to do with me. Never wanted anything to do with my mom. And the first time I've ever seen him was actually like a day or two after my mom passed away. There were times where I felt so miserable, and you know, I'm always getting yelled at, I'm always getting picked on at home. So, you know, I felt this urge just to maybe during the night just leave. But I thought about it and I decided that I wanted to finish high school and get my diploma before, you know, I decided to run away. So I decided to pretty much just finish high school, deal with everything, and then after high school, you know, I just left.
After I turned 12 and my grandfather passed away, he was the only real stable support. My mom was always there physically, but mentally she was gone. She's always been absent. But my grandfather lived right across the street from me, so if I had any questions or if I had to, you know, if I needed somebody to talk to, I could just walk across the street. I also turned to school. Like, school was my outlet. One teacher, I would never forget her. Her name was Miss Hensford. She was my 4th grade teacher. She made sure I was fine. You know, if I didn't have everything when I went to school. You know, I looked dirty, I looked a mess. My hair was never done. Dirty uniforms. Me and my brothers, we used to share clothes. So, you know, she would have stuff, you know, and she would give me extra stuff because she know I didn't have it. When I met my mom, again, it wasn't until after high school and then when I moved out of my foster mom's house. I got in contact with her after maybe 14 years, maybe. They saw her and they told me, you know, we saw your mom, she's doing well, she's working, and I have her cell phone number. I called her one day in school. You know, I spoke to her and she told me, you know, she was working and she was doing this, and I told her, well, yeah, I'm getting ready to graduate, and she was excited, she wanted to come, and I told her, I said, I don't know if, you know, my foster mother, Carmen, was gonna allow her to come. So it wasn't until after I graduated and I left home to reconnect with her. With my foster mother in particular, she could have been a better parent if she really cared why I was in the system in the first place. And I feel like if she would have been more supportive of me, she would have been more understanding of what, you know, my mom was going through and helping me understand what my mom was going through. Maybe I wouldn't have been that angry teen. I wouldn't have been so resentful towards my mom. I called my mom and I told her, I said, listen, right now I have nowhere to go, and I'd like to come stay with you, if that's all right. And she said, yeah, but she thought that I meant spending a night or spending a week there. So I showed up and I had all my bags and stuff, and she was like, well, what's wrong? I said, I told you I wanted to live with you. That's when I met the person who my mom was taking care of. His name is Vega. He was like a father figure to me. I knew I was welcomed when, in the beginning, he just took my bags. If I needed a job, he was willing to help me look for a job. If I needed money, he was willing to give me money. ¿Cómo está, Vega? Gracias, papá. It felt like I had a father at that time. It's the first time in my life I ever had somebody who actually cared for me as if I was their own son. My relationship with him is excellent. He always calls and checks up on me. He always asks me, are you still working? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, good, I'm proud of you. He never forgets about me. He talks to everybody about me. We have a really good bond. I believe he doesn't have the same bond with his own son that he has with me. Nacho, ¿cómo estás? No me quejo de nada porque
Fue un buen muchacho. Lo más que me gustaba de él era que cuando yo le decía algo, él bajaba la cabeza, nunca me contestaba nada. Yo siempre lo aconsejé a él por buen camino y él siempre me hizo caso.
Yo te bendiga siempre.
Todos los vecinos y todo el mundo lo quería mucho, porque él respetaba a todo el mundo, que fue algo que siempre yo le ponía siempre en la mente. Él me respetaba más a mí que el mismo propio hijo mío. Él siempre me dice papá. Todo el mundo me dice que si me pregunta por el hijo mío. Mire, venga y el hijo tuyo. No me dicen por el hijo mío propio, me dicen por Puchi. A todo el mundo hay que dar una oportunidad, porque sean unos muchachos jóvenes no quiere decir que son malcriados ni nada, ni que no son obedientes a lo que se les dice. Lo que hay que darle es las oportunidades. Muchachos son jóvenes, pero dialogando con ellos siempre llegan a su sitio. Todo está en la persona que lo está criando. Porque si la persona que lo está criando lo sabe llevar, él va a llevar. Pero si la persona que lo está criando le va a dar un mal ejemplo, pues él va con un mal ejemplo. Pero todo depende de quien lo esté criando.
When I got out of foster care, I don't really remember how it was to be reunited with my mom, but I can imagine how it felt at that time. Just being with her was the most powerful thing because I missed her so much. And to go from being loved, even though she wasn't there, to being somewhere where I was being abused, it was just, I would rather have my mom there and her try her best than to be somewhere where I'm not wanted. I have a girl. Hey, Mom. Love you. Love you too. When I was a teenager, I was always angry. I always felt like I was alone, even though I have a really big family. And I used to be a rebellious teen, so I would do stuff for attention. And just so happens one day I did something that I had no business doing, and I became pregnant. But when I got pregnant, I found out I was 5 months. And I told my mom, and she was there for me, and I wasn't expecting that from her. I took a new outlook on life, and I knew that I wanted to be a better person for my daughter, and I didn't want to go down the wrong path. I didn't want to follow in my mom's footsteps, so I've always lived up to doing the exact opposite. And that's how I just live my life, is to not make the same mistakes that my mom did, to make myself a better person and to be a better parent. Samira! Come on.
Hi, Mom.
Hey, boy. Come on. You have a good day?
Yes.
When we were reunited, Ameera and Saida, my 19-year-old, they were staying at a friend's house. And I thought it was a good place, a good environment for her to stay in while I was in the rehab, because I was in Gordenzia and Westchester. But so many things, they witnessed so many things, and some issues, some things happened to them. So when we were reunited for, you know how they bring the children down to DHS and you get to visit and all that, she was telling me. And Ameera's always been far beyond her years. She's always been far beyond her years. So she was telling me, like, you're gonna have to get yourself together. I don't even remember how old she was, but she was like a preacher. She's like, we can't go through this. And I'm like, but I'm trying to get help. She's like, well, you need to hurry up, you need to stay clean, because we need you here. Saida got stitches over her eyes, and I'm like, well, who's the mom? Like, then I had to shut up, because when I was doing the things I was doing, she was the mom, So I had to take the cotton out of my ears, put it in my mouth, and from that day on, it's been some trials and tribulations, but that instilled in me, get yourself together, because we can't do anything without you, and I can't do this by myself.
Come to find out, we was pregnant together. So my daughter and my brother are 10 hours apart. Me and my mom did a lot of bonding. We used to sleep in the same bed. We used to rub each other's stomachs. We would cook for each other, and we just did everything together. So when I got pregnant, that changed me and my mom's relationship, because it was kind of like, you have a choice. Either it's me and your grandchild, your first grandchild, or the drugs, and she chose me.
When me and my mom reunited, we were able to spend about 4 years together before she passed away. Although the relationship wasn't as close as I would like it to have been, I still was was proud to, walk down the street and say, look, there's my mom. The first time I got together with my siblings was after my mother's funeral, or before my mother's funeral. And that was the first time since we got separated that we were together. It was a sad occasion, but just being together as a whole again was that was probably one of the happiest moments I've ever had. It just pretty much felt like we never left each other.
I had DHS once that I called them because I was going through a lot of psychological problems, crying and, just the issues that I was going through. When the system did come, it did help, but they closed it out so fast. It's like they see you do good for 30 days, we don't need to be here no more. Like, I need help. But I took the tools that they did teach me. I went to the parenting class. I got certificates in parenting class. What else did I do? I tried to be involved with a lot of the family events that they had. I did that also. But just to utilize and just take the information that was given to me to apply it to help me with my household. That was another helper too, DHS.
How you doing, Ms. Della?
I'm so proud.
Anywhere I've ever been, any community I've ever been in, people helped me and I gave back. I feel like the people who most cheered me on weren't family. People I've met at church, people I've worked with in the community, state representatives.
Dan, what you doing? What you doing?
What you doing wearing that jersey?
Most of the people who have opportunity to take a child in or a teen, to just give them an opportunity. You never know what they're capable of. They could be anything they want to be as long as they have that support system. I'm a youth mentor because I believe in children's futures. I know that when I was younger, my childhood wasn't the best, and I'd like to be that inspiration, that motivation for children now. They all need somebody to step in and be some sort of support system for them growing up, especially in a society like ours today. I always take pride in giving back to a community, especially when they're in critical condition like ours.
Look at the house. Here you go. This used to be my house. This was the house that I lived in most of my childhood. We started off here in 2327, and then we moved here. This used to be my grandfather's cleaners, and it had apartments on the second and third floor. He was the only father figure I had. So when he died, it was kind of like I lost a part of me. And that's when I became rebellious, because my mom, when she was in her addiction, he was all I had. And when he passed away, it was kind of like I was by myself. So he's the meaning behind this tattoo. The love hurts. You get attached to something and they just snatch from you. I found my grandfather's body on the ground in here, in this foyer. So, this house,
Mommy, don't cry.
this is him. My grandfather was a rebel. He walked with Malcolm X. This is him.
What is foster care?
So foster care is when you know your parents can't take care of you and you got to go into somebody else take care of you basically. Every summer day, I was in this library at the summer program. Every Sunday, every day we was in here. I'm in the field that I'm in because I believe that you need to reach kids at a young age. So for my daughter, every day is an educational day. Like, you know, I try to give her one piece of knowledge a day. That's why I'm so hard on you sometimes. You gotta be great.
The reason why I would ask people to give children or teenagers an opportunity is because if we don't give them an opportunity, then the statistics just keep going up. You never know what a child or teenager might do. Some of these streets are raising our children to be drug dealers. There are a lot of them involved in gang violence. If we give them that opportunity, we become a crutch for them. You know, they no longer have to struggle. They no longer have to look to the streets. They can look to us as a support system, and eventually most of them will have a job, pursue a career, you know, finish college, but they just need that support system.
After I got out of high school, I went to Penn State for 2 years and didn't really like it that much. So I transferred to Temple, where I graduated with my bachelor's in psychology. And after I graduated from Temple, I started out as a child care worker, and then I moved up to a case manager for juvenile delinquent females. Most of them are middle school students. I think it's only one high school student that's going to the 10th grade, but his brother. Even though I had a negative experience in foster care, not everybody has a bad experience in foster care. I'm involved in the system because I feel like it has a great mission, and I believe in the mission, and I believe that the child welfare system is different from when I was in it a long time ago. Things have evolved, and you know, being that I have a view that I didn't have before, I know how hard the workers work. I know what their caseloads are. I know what it takes to be a good worker, and I know what it takes to just make the job pass, you know. But at the end of the day, you have to have a passion for this work. You have to have a passion for helping people.
Well, we have to try to be the best role models that we can be. But what I would say to other people, don't be ashamed to ask for help. Don't give up. You gotta keep trying, especially if you have children involved. Because, as I just stated, the children can't teach themselves. And what they see us do, they implement.
Teenagers need our help, and this is important that we reach out and open our arms and our hearts and our doors to our teenagers, because these are the ones that are most lost. These are the ones that feel like they don't have anybody, and it takes people like us to know what it's like to walk in their shoes, to actually give out and, you know, reach out to them and offer them help.